Welcome to OnlyOneYouNeed Radio. We're not the only one you need. You are. We just show you how to get out of your own way. With your host, speaker, author, business coach, and consultant, David Dubé.
Welcome to OnlyOneYouNeed Radio. I'm your host, David Dubé. So excited to have you. Thanks for joining me today. In this inaugural episode, we're going to cover several things. The first thing is, what is OnlyOneYouNeed? What's OnlyOneYouNeed Radio? And then we're going to cover who's David Dubé. And then lastly, why should you care? I think all those things are fairly important, especially when you're coming into something brand new. So let's get started, shall we? I should also preface with the fact that I want to make these episodes fairly short and concise. I don't want to overwhelm you with a bunch of nonsense and things that you can't use or utilize. Now, as this grows and evolves, the messaging may change. And of course, you'll get to know me a whole lot more through this process, and I'll be sharing personal stories and anecdotes and things like that with you as we grow and evolve. And you'll understand why I'm doing that as well. I'm not just going to share something and not give you the reasoning for it. All is important, mind you. So, OnlyOneYouNeed. What is this? If you listen to the intro, you will have already an idea that this isn't about me. This is about you. OnlyOneYouNeed isn't about who David Dubé is. It's really about who you are and really what you want out of life. To me, that's more important than talking about myself, albeit sometimes talking about me in relationship to a story can give you an idea you never had, can give you an answer you never thought you would have, any of those kind of things, right? So, but really what this comes down to is you getting out of your own way. I've been in my own way so many times, I couldn't even count them. We get in our own way all the time. All of us do. I'm not the only one guilty of it. You are as well. And there's this understanding that when you figure those things out, life can be flipped upside down and transformed very, very quickly. And that to me is exciting. So my company, OnlyOneYouNeed, I founded back in late 2004. Now, that company has, obviously it's changed my life to much of a degree. And I've come to understand many different things based on not just having a business, but also just living life in general. I think we all learn through our personal mistakes and also through our successes, but mostly through our mistakes. And so when I started my company back in 2004, it was really to be the only one anyone needed. Like, I wanted to be that place you would go to shop for everything you ever needed. Obviously, I didn't get that far, at least in doing that one thing. And in 2005, late 2005, I started to teach a class called How to Read Anyone and Make Lifelong Clients in Just 30 Seconds. And that's when I realized that I was in the business of teaching people, really not just teaching people, but creating understanding for things. And I want to make more sense to you. And I do that I have this saying, I say this all the time, and you'll hear it, I'm sure, again and again and again. People get things, but they seldom understand them. Let me say it again. People get things, but they seldom understand them. What do I mean by that? I mean this. You, in all likelihood, have one of these things called a smartphone. I'm holding mine in my hand now. I have a Galaxy S8. And you may have an iPhone, you may have, whatever, an Android device, doesn't matter, but it's a smartphone. And they're incredible devices. You know how to send and receive phone calls, text messages, emails. You know how to use Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You know how to do all of those things. And I'm sure there's plenty of other apps that you know how to use and utilize. Now, let's just say your phone were to break. Now, if your phone breaks and it's not liquid damage, it's not a broken screen, and it's not a dead battery, mind you, and it's not software related, the question is, could you fix your phone? And I'm gonna answer that for you, because no, you couldn't. I couldn't. You couldn't. Even the tech department at Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, or Sprint, in all likelihood, couldn't fix that phone either. Especially the iPhone. They keep this thing so well under wraps for every piece and what it does and how it works that they're not going to tell you. So if you had to open your phone up, which is near impossible with a lot of these new phones, to open them up is just, it takes an engineer to do that in itself. It's crazy. So yeah, you know how to use your phone. You get your phone. But do you understand how it functions, how it works? Probably not. The same goes with your car. Think about your car. You can drive to point A to point B, but if on your way to point B from point A, your car breaks down and it's not out of gas, it's not a flat tire, or a dead battery, could you fix your car? And I'm going to go with probably not. Now, there's a greater population, probably between 3 and 5%, that could, and maybe up to 7% that could be dangerous underneath the hood, right? So there's a greater amount of people who understand how the car works and function over your smartphone, but still the majority don't understand it. We get cars, we know how to use cars, but we don't fundamentally understand them. The last one is your human body. Let me ask you a question. How many systems comprise the human body? Do you know that answer? Now, if you don't know that answer, don't worry about it. I'm here to help. So if you Google it, they say there's 12 systems in the human body. And most people don't know, A, what those systems are, B, what most of those systems do, or C, how they function within them anyway, right? So you have this thing called the human body. You get it. You get to use it every single day. But do you fundamentally understand how your body works? Most people would rather figure out how their TV functions to watch the show or whatever. If you're streaming on Netflix, why isn't my Netflix working? Right? We care less about us until we're broken. And the interesting thing is, most of us, we function perfectly fine, even in a broken state. It's crazy. So we get all these things, but yet we don't understand them. So when I started and created my course called How to Read Anyone and Make Lifelong Clients in Just 30 Seconds, I found out that what I was doing was teaching understanding of people, how we work, why we do what we do, and how to motivate those around you. And it was crazy. It was the craziest thing ever. And I started teaching that in late 2005. And I was lucky and blessed that my audience chose me. I didn't have to figure out what my niche was going to be in. And at the time, 2005, 2006, 2007, what was blowing up then? That was the real estate mortgage companies. And that's who I was mostly working with. Lucky me. Obviously, that changed at some point. And I wasn't working with really anyone and had to go get a job. So, and at the time, I got a job at Sprint. So I worked in retail for quite a few years, and then my mother was diagnosed with cancer for the first time in 2009. That's when I left all of retail and started helping both my sister and my mother out. My sister, who's the oldest in the family, is blind and autistic. And she, when my mom wasn't able to take her because of going through chemo and radiation, and also after her surgery, it was very difficult for her to do much. And so I was both their caretakers during that time. And the money essentially flooded out of my account, and therefore I had to go do something else. And my life changed pretty drastically at that time. Now, I'm not going to get more into it than that at this current moment, but when I found out that that's what I was doing, was teaching understanding, my life was pretty awesome. I had some great things going for me at the time, and it was really exciting. And that's when really things started to to change for me because I started to realize more things that I never thought I'd realize. Of course, you don't think you're going to have the thoughts you're going to think when you have those thoughts that you never thought you'd think. Sounds really bizarre. You can slow it down and listen to it again. But you don't know what you don't know. And at the time, learning this stuff is like epiphany after epiphany after epiphany that started to accumulate in my life and change me as a person. And now, 14 years later, creating this, albeit I bought all this stuff to do this like way back in 2008, and just see, this is talking about getting out of your own way. I was in my own way for years, my friends. So don't think like, oh, this guy's got everything figured out. No, it's not about that either. It's about figuring out things not only for myself, but also figuring out things together. So Only One You Need is not about me. It's about helping you. And out of learning so many things that I've learned over the course of years, I want to give you the tools to help you get out of your own way. And I'm not saying I have all the tools either, or all the answers. That's not it either. But here's what I do know. For all the people I've ever helped, and hearing and seeing and being a part of their journeys and how they've changed and transformed, and knowing that I have a lot of this information, shoved into my brain and not necessarily out for everyone to have a listen to, well, I'm not doing myself a favor, nor am I doing you a favor by keeping it to myself. Wouldn't you agree? Makes sense that, if you have some special ability, maybe you should share it so then other people can change their lives based on what you have. And that's really what this show is about. And also about a collective journey. I can't do this all by myself. I can't. If I make this and no one listens to it, well, then it helps no one and doesn't matter then either. But at least I'm doing one part of it to make that happen, which is creating this. The other part of that too is if a community comes together based on this, so you can find me on Facebook, super simple to do. You find David Dubé, or you can just facebook.com/OnlyOneYouNeed, all spelt out. You will find Only One You Need. And being a part of creating that community there, we can interact and I can find out what you want to know more about. And we can co-create these episodes together. To me, that sounds awesome. If that sounds awesome to you, then find me. Let's do that. Be a part of this. Don't be separate from it. This isn't about me having something you don't have and could never have. It's about us creating something greater than we are as an individual. So, who's David Dubé? Well, you know a little bit now about my business and what I did and how I got started. So, David Dubé, I'm a son first. I'm a brother second, the youngest of three, and also I have a half brother who's more than half I'm 20 years older than him. And he's an amazing kid. I'm certain he'll be in plenty of conversations coming up anyway. And so being the youngest of three, I'm a brother. I'm also a friend. I got some amazing friends, and to me, life is about relationships, and the greater your relationships, the greater your life is. And that's really what that comes down to. And what did I start off doing? I taught people how to read anyone, right? And make lifelong clients in just 30 seconds. What does that tell you? Relationships are huge in my life. That's like this key thing about who I am and what I stand for and what I believe and why I do what I do. A lot of that has to do with that. Now, I briefly talked about my mother and her coming down with cancer and doing chemo and radiation and whatnot. So third time was the charm. Last year was my mom left us early last year. So January 18th of 2017, my mother passed away. Our mother passed away. And Now, I'm not saying that and sharing that to get the, so sad, so sorry kind of thing. It's not about sympathy at all, but what it is about, it's a journey. Life is this journey, and so much of who we are is made up by our experiences, which is it's both a blessing and a curse in so many different ways. And I want to also talk a lot more about that as this grows, as we grow as a community. I'll be talking more about that. And I got some amazing stuff in the pipeline for this radio show, and I'm so excited to give it to you and to share it with you. And then, as you guys, as we all come together, hopefully that can grow into something that's not just me anymore, that's us. I don't want this to be an I, me thing. I want this to be a us, we thing. So, we as in someone's pushing you on the swing for the first time, and you finally have this experience of that stomach lifting, and it feels really intense but good at the same time. That's what this can be. So why should you care? Why should you care about any of this? Well, I think I made that fairly apparent throughout this short episode here, is because it's not about me or I. I want this to be about us and we. The we experience is why you should care. The fact that this can evolve into, everything and anything you want it to be, just as much as what I want it to be. I'm studied in many different things, a variety of them. With some of my stories, you will definitely find this out, but sales, psychology, huge things. My background is in art. Like, throughout school, I was this artist that every day I went to school, the next day, people were like, what have you been drawing? And they wanted to see my progress. What did I come up with? What did I draw? And after school, a short stint in college, I decided that art was not what I want to pursue. I want to pursue other things. And my life was obviously forever altered based on those decisions, because I could have stuck with art. And I have a really good friend who, we graduated high school. He was a year ahead of me. And he is a prolific artist right now and very well known. His name's Paul Peterson. Very awesome guy. Certainly recommend looking him up. Very cool. Great. He's a wonderful guy, and his artwork is pretty spectacular as well. And he told me, he's like, everyone thought you were going to be the guy who was making a killing with his art. We thought you were it. You were the guy. And now, I don't do that, and he's the one who's doing that. It's like this mind-numbing reality of how our lives really end up being so much different than we thought they could have ever been. Like, I really thought I was either going to be a paleontologist or an artist. And here I am. I'm an artist with my words. My vocabulary is my new art. So why should you care? I think I made that apparently clear. I appreciate you, and I look forward to you. I already mentioned, find me on Facebook. If you thought this was good and you think this is going to be something greater than even I could imagine, because that's what life really is about. Creating, if all the things you have to look forward to, if this was the one thing that could be greater than watching the news and anything else going on in the world, that would be awesome. And let's create what we really want. Let's do it together. This doesn't have to be David's evolution. OnlyOneYouNeed Radio can evolve into what you also want it to be as well. Join me. Find me on Facebook. Find me on Instagram. Let's do some amazing things here. I'm so excited for where this is going, where this could go. And also, before I go, I know this is getting close to the 20-minute mark, and it will with my intro probably, but I want to state this. Only when you need, getting out of your own way. If I gave you all the tools to build, or not all the tools, if I gave you all the things that you needed to build a house, but I didn't give you any tools, you couldn't do it. This is where we come in. This is where your help comes in. This is where your feedback comes in. So let's work together. I look forward to the future with you. I appreciate you. It's time that you be the person you were meant to be. Believe in all that you're capable of and become more than you thought imaginable.